All right. So when I first read the Yellow Wallpaper, it was very hard for me to kind of think of a way to express the emotions that are felt in the piece. But after a little while, it reminded me of some sounds that you can make on the violin. And violin's a very diverse instrument. You can make some terrible sounds with it and some good sounds with it. A little easier to make the terrible sounds. So, with this piece being a descent into insanity, I wanted to kind of work with some unique sounds that we can make. So let's start with a main theme here. We're going to have two themes. We're going to have John's theme, which will stay consistent throughout the piece because throughout the Yellow Wallpaper, he's pompous and arrogant and kind of an idiot. So that's going to kind of look something maybe like this. Okay. What about the narrator? So the narrator, she's not entirely sound of mind at the beginning, but still cohesive in thought. So at first, her theme will be consistent. It'll be kind of similar to John's at first, but we don't want it to be too happy. But I mean, she is a little optimistic at the beginning with the new house and, oh, it's haunted, how cool, right? So I'm going to go with just, a fifth higher than John's. Okay, so how are we going to put these together? So we're going to start with the narrator's theme, and then we're going to go to John's theme, and then we will go back to the narrator's theme, but it will be somewhat decayed. What do I mean by decayed? So this is where the wallpaper comes in. The wallpaper is basically going to be random sounds on the instrument that don't sound particularly good, or pauses, or hesitations, because the wallpaper represents the decay of the narrator's cohesive thought line. So we do the narrator's theme once, we do John's theme once, and then we go back to the narrator. And then we go back to John's theme, because one pattern in the story is every time John does anything, it makes things worse. So we go back to John's theme. And right there, that sound. We see in the story the narrator comes to believe there is another woman trapped in the wallpaper. So when I think of someone trapped trying to escape, I think of a sound like this. So we're going to see more and more of those sounds interspersed within the narrator's theme. So we go back to John's theme again, this time a little more intense, and then we go back to the narrator's theme, or what's left of it. And right there, that's where we see the narrator pretending to be better, pretending to stay asleep when really she's awake, and watching the wallpaper. This is kind of where we see the narrator seeing things in the walls, and she's like just absolutely losing it. And then we go back to John again, but this time I want to add a little something else into it. go back to the narrator. Now, we're going to do our last phase here. This is where we see her literally thinking she is the woman in the wallpaper. So by this point, we've totally lost the theme. We start off a little bit. And she gets out of the wallpaper. And then she tosses the key out the window. Knock on the door. And he passes out on the floor, cold. So that's my idea.